Hey there, this is one of our client rooms, and this is where I sit to answer many questions, one of which is, why should I hire an accountant? So as you can imagine, as a CPA firm, as a CPA myself, I do provide a lot of tax services for people. I prepare a lot of personal tax returns and a lot of business tax returns. But in addition to those tax services we provide, I kind of mentioned in another video that we do provide consulting services. We provide a lot of nonprofit and estate and trust services. We do auditing, we do other things like that. And that's really important because as clients grow their businesses, as your finances become more complicated, your services needed are going to grow as well. And our firm, as a regional firm, we do have resources to provide all of those to clients. So we do things from the very most basic to super complicated. And that's really important for people to understand as well. So for those of you that want to brave preparing your tax return on your own, you feel like your stuff is just too simple, you really don't want to go pay somebody to prepare those, I do recommend people go online. There's actually some really good tax software, TurboTax and Tax USA, and there's actually quite a few now that you can go and prepare tax returns for free. The one caution I would give, I don't have any problem directing people to do those things, but I always give them this caution. When you do that, they always go through and ask you questions. And the end tax return, the results are going to be dependent upon the questions that you answer. So if you're going through those questions and there's something you come across that you just say to yourself, I don't know exactly what they're asking, don't just answer and move on, because sometimes that can cause you to have the wrong result on the back end, especially with things like these stimulus packages and these child tax credits right now that are making things just a little bit more difficult. Unemployment, some of the other things that changed taxes for COVID stuff. Be very careful. If you come across those questions and you don't understand, you really need to ask before you move on. So yeah, one of the things also to kind of help you through those, if you do a thing like a TurboTax or something like that, most of them now actually do have online support. So when you come across those questionnaires and you don't know exactly how to answer it, punch the question into the question box, and most of the time they're going to be able to, I don't know how quickly they get back to you, but they do have ways to be able to provide you answers so that you can be sure that the information you're putting into that question is going to give you the proper end result. And so that's my one caution. If you are going to try to do it on your own and you like that kind of stuff and you don't want to pay for anybody else to do it, just be careful about how you answer those questions. Super often, one of the questions I get is, why do I need an accountant? Should I hire one full-time? Should I hire one part-time? How much do I need somebody to come in and assist me with my finances? And honestly, that's actually a really hard question, and it's not a cookie-cutter answer because everybody's a little bit different. But some of the common things that I can talk to clients about are often very suitable for business owners, and sometimes even people that have rental properties and things like that. So the first thing I typically ask people when they ask, should I hire an accountant, is I say, how much time do you spend doing accounting, right? Do you do it every single week? Do you do it once a month? And that helps me to understand where they come from, how much time they're spending. And the other question that I always ask is, when you do spend the time doing your accounting, what are you giving up? For example, I spend a lot of time with construction clients. It's a busy time right now with the economy. Building is just booming. And so I sit with general contractors, subcontractors, and specialty trades, and they always have that question. And I say, listen, if you are sitting there every Friday, spending a whole day going through your bank, going through invoices, and trying to figure some of that out, which, let's face it, a lot of them don't have that expertise, but they're trying to save the money. I ask, if you were to be able to step aside from this accounting and go out into the world and pick up a new job even once a month, then you'd be able to pay for my time and my staff's time usually multiple times over, if you could spend your time doing what you're good at. So, to kind of answer the question, if you want an accountant, the answer is if you're spending enough time doing your accounting to where you're sacrificing future opportunities and future revenue, that's probably where it's time to start looking at, number one, what do you need help with? And number two, kind of aligning what we can provide with the cost, because my job is always, I'm not going to provide a service unless I feel like there's some value there. And so if I can go in and I can keep your finances up to date and make sure that when you're trying to bid on jobs, when you're trying to figure out, should I grow my business, you can always make sure that you're basing it off of real-time data, real-time information, real-time numbers. And I talked about it in some of my other videos. I like numbers. I always have. I'm super detail-oriented. And so my job is to give you that information. And then you, as a business owner, you can then take that and you can go and make sure that when you bid jobs out, you're bidding it at the right price and you're not bidding yourself out of a job. Because honestly, a lot of my clients, they end up bidding on these jobs thinking it's good money, but their overhead's rising and rising and rising. And most of the time it's because they don't have good numbers. So do you need an accountant? The first thing I would say is sit down with an accountant, sit down with a CPA, and let them ask those questions. Or you can kind of analyze that in your mind ahead of time and make sure that when you sit down with the CPA, you have an idea of the kind of time you're spending to get your books in order. So one of the things that I always make sure that I tell potential clients is I will always sit down with them for an initial consultation and I don't charge for it. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, I want to make sure that I understand what services they need. And number two, I want to make sure that they know what I can provide so that we can match up what it's going to cost with what they really need. And so typically a 15 to 30 minute consultation can lay all of that stuff out. And for my potential clients, I don't charge for that. Once we get in and we start really consulting and really diving in, then typically there's going to be a charge with that. But we always do that free consultation, and that's super important when you're trying to figure out if it's even going to be a good fit for you. So to kind of sum it up, do you need an accountant? Maybe, maybe not. But make sure that you ask the question, how much time am I spending? Do I enjoy it? And what is the opportunity cost of the time that I'm spending doing accounting versus maybe what you're really good at? And that typically will answer that question for you. Anyway, appreciate it. We'll have future videos on things just like this, and have a great day.